Hey, welcome back into the Rizzcast Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Rizzo, and I'm excited to share a story with you guys today about a Berklee professor for the Berklee School of Music named Pat Pattison. And he has been a teacher there in the lyrics realm for songwriting for many, many years. He's coached and worked with people like John Mayer and a bunch of other artists that we're all familiar with. And he shares his story when it comes to co-writing. And there's a reason I'm sharing this, because I have a very, very exciting announcement I'm going to be making at the end of this podcast for all my songwriting friends out there. Whether you've written tons of songs and you feel very, very accomplished, whether you're somewhere in the middle, or whether you feel like you have never written a song and you'll never write a song, though you feel called, or you have a desire to write a song. No matter where you find yourself on that spectrum of songwriting, I want to make a very, very special announcement at the end of this podcast. But first, I want to share this story. So Pat Pattison was invited by a very, very successful Nashville writer. And this guy had tons and tons of hits. And Pat had not had hits, but he had, a lot of teaching he had done on songwriting. So this guy in Nashville, invited him out, said, "Hey, Pat, I want to co-write with you." First time, Pat is super, super nervous, which again, is shocking for me because he's a Berklee professor, but we all have moments, right? So he shows up at the studio, or the label rather, and they direct him into this, writing room, and he's waiting for this guy to come in. Kind of sitting there, and he's thinking about, okay, what's this going to be like? Writing with this guy who has, huge hits. Am I going to stink? Am I going to contribute anything good to this? Whatever. So he's sitting there pretty nervous, and then the door opens slowly, and this guy, I think he had like a big burly coat on, looked just, not like your typical professional co-writing guy who's had a bunch of hits. He just, kind of very uniquely dressed, walks in and looks at Pat, doesn't say anything, and he shuts the door, and then he opens up the door, and then he shuts the door, and Pat describes it as he's sitting there looking at this guy like, is this some kind of like co-writing ritual? Like, what is this guy doing, And then he asks Pat this question after he opens and closes it for like the second or third time. He says, is that door closed? Pat's like, yeah. He's like, good, because you and I are about to say some of the dumbest garbage, he didn't use that word, but some of the dumbest garbage we've ever said in our life in this co-writing session. And the guy says, I won't tell if you don't tell. And it just brought this, peace to this writing session, and they had, they co-wrote a day. And so I love this story told from a Berklee professor of lyrics who has, again, worked with some big, huge name artists, that he even had this struggle. And in the dozens and hundreds of hours of co-writing sessions that I've done, so my co-writing journey began in 2009, 2010. Matt Redman shared this story that the last 5 albums that Matt had done, because I'd asked him about co-writing. So he says, the last 5 albums I've done, I've not written one song alone. They've all been co-writes. And that struck me as a young artist at that time, a young worship leader at that time. I was like, this guy is arguably one of the most sung, worship songwriters of my day. And he's telling me that the last 5 albums he's done, he's not written one song alone. Like, why am I trying to, hand clasp close my art and, create in secret, and why am I not co-writing? And so I just went full force. I began co-writing about 12 hours a week. I was in 3 different co-writing groups, 4 hours a pop, and I learned a whole lot. My God, I can think back. I have it all saved on my computer. I use Evernote to kind of chronicle and keep all my co-writing sessions clearly laid out. And so I have it sorted by who I'm writing with. And, there's some people in here that I've done so many co-writes with. There's 50, 75 plus documents inside of there, songs that we've worked on. Some people, there's 1, and sometimes there's a reason for that. But my gosh, when I began co-writing 12 hours a week, because it was basically anyone who would say yes. And I was part of a mega church, but it's shocking to you. I tell my clients this all the time, just because you're in a mega church does not mean you have community. Like people at mega churches sometimes are so busy doing so many things, they don't have time for real community, to go out and have a real drink and a real meal and just chill, or to really co-write and work on a craft, because the mega church drive is so intense, and they're trying to grow, and it's multi-site campus and everything else, right? So just because you're part of a mega church or a mega ministry like I was, doesn't mean you have community. Doesn't mean people's yes means yes. Let me tell you, and a lot of you guys are shaking your head right now listening to this thing in your car, wherever you're listening. Like, I really learned in that season that a yes, someone who follows through, that their yes equals yes is everything. Because so many people, God-fearing, good, talented, humble people, can't follow through worth a sack of beans. And it's really, really challenging. So those in that season who would actually say yes to co-writing, not just in word, but also in deed, who would show up at the appropriate time, we had set aside time to write. Sometimes it was great, and there are songs that I've released and cut on records before, but there's so many songs that you'll never hear, the public will never hear. They're sitting in Evernote. And side note, why I love Evernote, and I haven't paid attention enough to the Apple Notes. Maybe they do this now because they've developed the technology so much. But in Evernote, you have, so I have like a songwriting folder. In that folder are subfolders, and it's like, the different each person's name that I've written with, right? So if it's like, whatever. And then inside of that, there's individual files or documents you can create. So the person I have, over 50, I go to their name, click it, and then bam, like 55, whatever it is, single pages pop up. And within each page, in a co-writing session, I write on Google Docs because it's in real time. Both of us can be open to the Google document, and we can, see what each other's writing in real time. But after each session, I copy and paste from Google Doc into Evernote, so I see all the lyrics. And what I love about Evernote is it allows you to put an MP3 above any word anywhere on that page. So you can literally, I can copy and paste it from Google Docs. And a lot of times I'll just have, we'll voice record or, get a demo from an engineer, and I, get that email to myself, and I click and I drag that into the actual file. So I'm not trying to like scroll through my voice memos to find the voice memo that goes along with some random Google Doc, that has the lyrics on it. They're together in Evernote. Hopefully that makes sense. It'd be a lot easier if I could, show you guys that at some point. But when I do songwriting retreats and songwriting trainings at churches, I a lot of times will project it on the screen and show people my inner workings of Evernote, because it's very, very helpful. Because if you don't have order, it's really, really hard to feel like you can actually build something, right? Because it's just chaos. So anyway, in this time, there's so many songs on Evernote that no one will ever hear. But what it did that was amazing was it worked a muscle inside of me, not only of co-writing and the craft of melodies and lyrics, but in the people skills of again, what I said earlier, people not showing up, people being incredibly late, not valuing your time. How do you handle that? And again, I'm really, really slow to make hard and fast. I'll never write with that person again, or I'll never do this. Like in my career as a writer, as a filmmaker, whatever. Like when I've had those types of thoughts, or I've told a trusted friend or my wife, whatever. Typically, it doesn't end up being true. I'll never work with that person again. It might be like a season, then the Lord will bring it back around. I'm like, oh, I love that person. I'm going to work with them again, right? But it's taught people skills of even just getting to the room. Second thing is it's taught people skills of knowing the vibe of a co-write. How do you draw something out of people? Pat talks about as well in his, it was a blog I read years ago, Pat Pattison from Berkeley. And he talks about how co-writing sessions are no free zones. So the word no is not allowed in a co-writing session, which I love that so much. And he talks about how, I'm not sure if this is him or if I got this from somebody else, but there, he talks about how, like the mind or the heart, like if you're watching on YouTube, you see my hands here, it's like a pipe, right? So let's say it's like a foot long pipe. And the golden idea is back here in the pipe, 12 inches in. And before that are like 11 horrible ideas that are just like, wow, that's trash, right? But if you don't get those 11 ideas out of the pipe, you'll never get to the golden idea, which is idea number 12, right? And he talks about how if you tell someone who gives their horrible idea, they don't know it's horrible, they're just being free, they're just like, getting the juices flowing. No. When you have the word no told to you, so many things begin to happen to you. Because again, if you're in a co-writing session, It's like you're all equals. There's no like, wow, I'm a master co-writer and you're a lowly co-writer. Even people I've worked with who are way more, famous or notoriety or have hit songs than me, like even them in co-writing sessions, it's like the respect is just off the charts, incredible. As of my experience, they're not like, no, that's not a good idea, whatever. So it's like, give me more, give me more, give me more, give me more. Right? That's the type of phrasing you want to use in a co-writing session. Not like, no, because then it's like, well, who died and made you boss, right? And I've been in some sessions. I won't share any names, but I've been in some sessions where one person was just a no machine. And they never brought anything to the right. All they would do is just say no. It'd be like 2 or 3 people. We'd all love one idea, and this one, kind of sourpuss person would be like, no. And it just got to a point where we had to kind of confront them and just be like, hey, like, that's not how this works. Like, majority rules, number one, in co-writes, and it also should be a no-free zone, because we want to get people, we don't want to lie to people and say, great idea, when secretly you hate it. Because if you say great idea, then they'll be deceived to think like, oh, okay, awesome. And you'll never get to the 11th idea up this pipe. That's, the golden idea, right? It's like, okay, give me more. And I believe in like, I'm a big, like I said, Google Docs guy. So I'm jotting down everything. Even if I don't like the idea, if someone's talking, ideating, whatever, like the lyrics, whatever, they're humming it out, they're singing it out. I'm typing it out because that gives dignity to the idea. And I'm like, okay, hey, keep going on that, keep flowing on that, And so the 11th idea, the 12th idea, the golden idea will eventually come, but it is a no-free zone. So a few co-writing tips, really just my heart for co-writing is that you just do it. Find a group of people that you can co-write with. And so I've talked about this before in the podcast. I have a Journey co-writing collaborative group of people that meet once a month on Zoom, and they write for 3 hours a month in groups of 3 or 4 on Zoom rooms. The link's in the description if you want to check that out. But really, all this is leading to me making a very, very exciting announcement for my worship leading, for my songwriting community. And again, if you're listening to this and you've written 100 songs, this is for you. If you've written no songs, this is for you. I am doing my first ever, well, it's really my second, but we piloted this in November of 2025 with just 10 people, and it was incredible. The fruit that came, the songs that came out, the community, the camaraderie, the rest, the rejuvenation that came to people was just incredible. This is my first ever kind of public facing, so that's why I'm using the term first ever, songwriting retreat, in-person songwriting retreat in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee in 2026. And you can either click the link below or email justin@justinrizzo.com. Shoot me an email, justin@justinrizzo.com, and just put in the subject line, songwriting retreat, and we will send you all the information, all the details on it. But I can just tell you and attest to you from the one that we did this past November in the Smoky Mountains, waking up and having coffee, overlooking an amazing, back deck on basically a very large house, not quite a mansion, but a very, very large house that we rented in the Smoky Mountains, drinking coffee, talking, sharing your heart with one another, going in, all your meals are included. So we eat amazing food together. All your room and board is included at this beautiful, beautiful house in the Smoky Mountains. And then we have co-writing sessions that we do for 3, sometimes 4 hours each day. And I break everyone up into different groups. And so, again, we piloted this in November with just 10 people, kind of my inner circle of people. But now we're opening it up, and I'm saying 50 people. I think this thing's going to sell out really, really quickly. But I'm limiting it to 50 people, and that also has to do with the house size that we can get in the Smoky Mountains. But again, shoot me an email, justin@justinrizzo.com, to get all the information. But the first ever, I'm calling it the Journey, because that's my monthly songwriting group. My first ever Journey in-person songwriting retreat is open now to the public, and we're limiting it to 50 people. But guys, it's going to be incredible. It's going to be what we experienced this past November times 10. I firmly believe. We had the last night of the retreat. We have a song share, so we all go to the great room in this luxury house, the great room, and everyone's there. And we just, each person sang, performed the songs that they wrote in their groups. The Lord came, it was powerful. You're celebrating one another, you're applauding one another. And just the camaraderie alone is worth coming to a retreat like this, let alone the songs that, a lot of you guys are going to hear on Spotify from a lot of these amazing worship leaders and artists who came to this first retreat, who are going to come to this retreat. And I'm calling it an annual retreat. Like I think I'm hooked on doing this. Like I love the online stuff, the online community. The online stuff is really needed because it's not practical to come together, this often. So, but once a year you come for 3 days. I'm going to go through the schedule here. But once a year you come together, and then Journey is the monthly kind of like keeping the circulation going. We don't just want to like go to the mountaintop for once a year and put, I'll save these ideas until the next songwriting retreat. Like, well, that's like 11 and a half months away, man. Like get with someone, get with a group of 2 or 3 people in the Journey monthly group and, keep co-writing. So the schedule, what does this look like? It's a Sunday night through Wednesday morning. So I designed it that way so worship leaders can lead at their church on Sunday morning, either drive to the Smoky Mountains or catch a flight, or if you can get off that Sunday morning, if you have PTO or whatever it is. So you're flying in. There's several airports we have on the website that are close to the Smoky Mountains, like Knoxville, Tennessee, for example, is probably the closest large airport. So you fly in Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon. It all begins at 5. So check-in begins at 5 o'clock at this house. We give people about an hour. We have our first kind of meal and gathering at 6 o'clock that night. And again, all the meals are made in-house. We do it together. It's really, really fun. I had a chef in the budget, but I wanted to keep this thing as cheap as possible. So we cut the chef, but it was so fun making the meals together, cleaning up together. It was just a killer time. And dietary restrictions or whatever, we can flex and do whatever's needed there. We had some dietary restrictions to this first one we did in November. And we have our first opening meal from 6 to 7:30, and then it's free time that evening. Some people went down into like different cities that are surrounding the Smoky Mountains there, and we had a couple of husband and wife couples come. We made sure that they had like the king rooms, so they went on a little date by themselves that first night. Because then Monday and Tuesday are pedal to the metal. It's very, very intense, with built-in like community times and writing. It's not just like writing for 12 hours a day. Like we're not here to like kill anybody. So we get up on Monday. I just kind of set the precedent for how this is going to work, give some co-writing tips. Hey, if you've never written, here's what you should do. If you've written a ton, here's what you should do, whatever. We get everybody on Google Docs, whether it's on your phone, on an iPad or a computer, whatever. And you guys break into different groups. We have guitars and different pianos set up all around this house. We break for lunch, we break for dinner together. There's some community times built in there, some games built in there. Tuesday, much of the same thing. Then Tuesday night, I already mentioned it, is a song share where each and every group who has written a song, and we had some groups wrote, 2 songs in 4 hours, right? Like that's the type of thing that we're going for. Not writing, 1 song in 2.5 days. Like we're really, the teaching that I do and kind of the way that I tell you to co-write will allow you to pop out more songs than less, okay? We have a song share on Tuesday night. It was just incredible. Again, just the Lord met us this past November. Is an awesome time. But just one person said it really, really well. When I came here Sunday night, none of this existed. And now we have, 11 songs that were written by these people, and you're a writer on 4 of them. So if any of these things make it to Spotify, which a lot of people who come to this, they're seeking to have an artist career of, putting songs on Spotify, putting songs on YouTube, doing music videos or whatever. And I love to see that. And then Wednesday morning, we have our final breakfast, farewell breakfast, a final prayer time, and we have to be out by 10 a.m. that morning. So people fly home or drive home, whatever it is. And so it's basically a Sunday through Wednesday, but it starts Sunday night, ends Wednesday morning. And so I'm so excited. The first ever Journey Songwriting Retreat in the Smoky Mountains. It's going to be an incredible, incredible time. And I want to invite you, shoot me an email if you're interested and want some more details. I can send you the website, justin@justinrizzo.com. And again, whether you're you call yourself a proficient songwriter, co-writer, you've done this a ton, or whether you've never written a song in your life, check this out. It's going to be an amazing, amazing time.